Toasters, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're notified when the content drops. I always tell myself, and I always say, I'm a fan of no man, only a supporter. And what I mean by that is, I'm not a fanatic. I can be objective. I can be critical. I can be fair. Even if I support you, even if you're my favorite speaker, favorite president, favorite person, favorite friend, favorite family member, player, whatever the case may be. I may support you, but I'm not a fan, because fans are fanatics and they can't be objective, they can't be fair in their reasoning. It's a cigar, by the way. But to each his own. No judgment here, but it is a cigar. But yeah, fans can't be objective. You can't say anything about their person, their favorite person. You know, we've heard of the Beehive with Beyonce. Cardi B's fans, they'll attack you. So I hear. And you got different people. Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Kobe, LeBron. You know, it goes on and on. We got everyday people who have fans. And the problem with that is, like I said, you can't be objective. And that's very dangerous, because when a person is not sharpened, they're not held accountable, they're not challenged, they're not brought to the carpet, so to speak, it's dangerous. The person's ego can get so big, their reality becomes so huge, and the reality is a facade. It's not real. It's not realistic. The reality is really not realistic. And they start feeling like they're above reproach. They're above being questioned. And that's dangerous, because no man is above reproach. No man is above being corrected. No man is above being questioned or challenged. We should want that. We should want to be sharpened. We should want to be challenged, knowing at the end it's going to make us a better person. You know, when I was writing the book, man, we were just, Yaya and I were just trying to figure it out. You know, the writing part is easy, but people don't recognize that editing is just as important, if not slightly more important. And so I wanted to do it independently. I wanted to keep everything in-house. Everything was in-house. I hired third-party consultants, everything, from the photographer, the party, everything was independent, out of my pocket. So Yaya did the editing. And she would see certain things and correct them, or make suggestions to me to correct them. Because she can't just arbitrarily correct them. No editor can do that. They can make suggestions, strong suggestions, and give it back to me, and then I make the corrections. But I just felt like I wasn't being sharpened enough. I wasn't being challenged enough in the editing, because I'm like, this is my first published writing. I believe I'm a great writer, but I'm not a perfect writer. That there has to be more. There has to be more resistance from my editor. And And I felt like I said, I think you're too close to me in this realm. I said, I think you're too close. You're my wife. You love me. This is a woman who's told me I'm her mentor. Her mother has told me I've taught her more than her father. So how can she really be critical in this particular aspect? And so I started doing some editing myself, which is a conflict of interest. But I wanted the writing to be as good as possible. And so her and I would clash. I'd be like, see, I caught this, why didn't you catch this as the editor? Now, in her defense, it was her first time editing, and it's not an easy job. But how I was challenging her to be the best, I needed her to challenge me that way. And I felt like she was just too close to me, emotionally, to really challenge me. But I wanted it. And so that's why in this next book, I got my boy, Michael Watkins, who came through by way of Yaya. They grew up together. But my point is, we should embrace being challenged, being sharpened. We should want our best out there, our best work, our best character. And I'm telling you, man, I get uneasy when people come across as fans of mine, because I don't want to be put on a pedestal. Because what if I don't meet your idea of me? What if, in your mind, I let you down? You still gonna be down for me? You still gonna support me? You still gonna speak highly of me? Fans, you've heard this before, fans are fickle. They go with the wind. But a true supporter can be critical of you and still, support you, have your back. But they're not blinded. Their vision is not blurred. Their perspective is not blurred into what's going on. If you're wrong, if they don't agree with something, you may not be wrong, they just don't agree with something. They can state that, they can say that. And that's what you should want. Not saying you'll agree with them or you'll change your perspective or your stance on something. But a back and forth dialogue is good sometimes. A good debate is good sometimes. We challenge each other's thoughts and perspectives and stances. I remember in elementary reading about the story of David in the Bible, King David and Bathsheba. One of the parts that really stuck out to me was when the prophet Nathan, and the close friend of David, King David, by the way, approached David, and he gave him a parable, and he was holding David accountable, but he gave him a parable I won't repeat. But basically, he was letting David know, you're this man who's in violation in this parable I just gave you. So even King David wasn't above reproach. He was being sharpened. He was being challenged. And Nathan was no perfect man. Nathan's sons were off the chain. So none of us are perfect. None of us are above reproach. But that's okay. Just because I'm not perfect doesn't mean I can't challenge you and you can't challenge me. But the key is, the Bible says, God sent Nathan to go talk to David. So you gotta make sure it's not your ego going to hold someone accountable. That's coming from a good place. And God is love. So did God send you? Did love send you to hold someone accountable? Did love send you, not your ego? thing. So I know a lot of y'all are like, yeah, I'm gonna check this person. I'm gonna hold this person accountable, whatever. Yeah, did God send you? Did love send you though? Where's your spirit at? Where's your spirit? So I say all that because I'm looking at this situation with Takeoff, who was killed a few months back. Fast forward, you have Mob Tides affiliates, founder and affiliates, Jay Prince Jr., and Jay Prince's brother, Mike Prince, speaking on the situation on Gillian Wallow's podcast, $1 Million Worth of Game. Now, I thought the interview itself was inappropriate. I thought Jay Prince was very tasteless and tactless in this interview. You can see his ego spewing out. You can see that this brother has not been held accountable for things. You can see that this brother believes he's above being reproached. He's above reproach. You can see it. You can sense the energy. There was an uneasiness, a darkness in that interview. And you saw the ego all over that. And this is what happens when men have a bunch of fans and they're not held accountable. Because in all of our hearts, we're capable of being tyrants if we don't have checks and balances in our life that we implement on our own, or the people around us don't have checks and balances around us. We can become tyrants. We become dictators. So that balance is very important. It's very important that you have people around you that'll hit you up, that'll text you, that'll call you, that'll pull your coattail, whether that's your spouse or your friends, your neighbor, whoever. It could be a stranger. And a stranger can come in love too. And so that's important. Because we start believing we're above everyone and no one can tell us anything. A few years ago, there was a situation with a young rapper, NBA Youngboy. NBA Youngboy was living in Houston at the time. Jay Prince is from Houston. And NBA Youngboy's vehicle was burglarized. I believe it was a Rolls Royce. Someone took the umbrella. NBA Youngboy addressed it on social media. Somebody took the umbrella out of the vehicle. If you know about Rolls Royces, they have the umbrella that goes on the side of the door. This comes with the vehicle. And he wasn't really tripping on it, but he addressed it. Later, Jay Prince, an older man, old enough to be NBA Youngboy's father and grandfather, gets on social media and says, "We have your umbrella, and just hit me up and we'll give it back to you." Well, this young man, NBA Youngboy, said, "You can have it. You can have the umbrella. Basically, you can't extort me for a relationship. I don't want to be a part of your mob ties. I don't need any new friends." So one day, we're talking about all of this in the barbershop. And Jay Prince felt disrespected, whatever. And he said a few words to NBA Youngboy, whatever. A subtle threat, I took it as. But anyway, so one day we're talking about this in the barbershop. And I was the lone wolf in saying I agree with NBA Youngboy. And all these other men in the barbershop was like, "Man, that's Jay Prince. That he don't want to piss him off." And I'm like, and I said, "Man, he's not above reproach. This man is not above reproach. He's not above being checked. No man, not me, not you, no man is. Wrong is wrong. I don't care how much money you got, how much fame you got, how much influence you got. If King David can be checked by his friend and the prophet Nathan, Jay Prince can be checked. And he could be, he's not above reproach either. And, you know, I agree with the young man and be a young boy. You know, it seemed like a subtle strong-arm move to get in with the NBA young boy and to mosey up to him. When, if it was sincere, he would have addressed him in private. He would have addressed the young man by phone. And you had these grown men saying, well, maybe he didn't have his phone number. I'm like, man, are you serious? Are these grown men really saying this? That Jay Prince doesn't have NBA young boy's phone number. Yeah, maybe it's not in his phone. He could get the number to call this young man personally. You can't tell me he can't get this young man's number. I ain't buying it. But these are grown men making excuses, justifying, rationalizing the irresponsible behavior of another grown man that they are fans of. Because I believe if the average guy had done what he did, what Jay Prince did, they would have criticized him and said he was wrong. But since it was Jay Prince, someone they were a fan of, they made excuses. We fast forward this interview Jay Prince and his family did with $1 million worth of game. Jay Prince ends the interview by addressing Offset and saying that he's been hearing things on the street that Offset has been saying. This is a 57-year-old man going on hearsay. You know, sometimes it's best for people not to meet their heroes or not to meet people they're fans of. There was a mystique about Jay Prince for years. This boogeyman mystique. But the more he started talking years ago, the more I started saying things that, I can't vibe with. But he's the so-called boogeyman. He's this so-called gangster. When a man speaks, a lot will be revealed. The way he thinks, his mental, will be revealed. There's no way a 57, 58-year-old man should be having conflict, especially public conflict, with young men. Young men war. Old men get good counsel. And here, this man is constantly in the mix with young men, having altercations, conflict with young men, and videos with young men. Something's off with that. But he's quick to say he's a God-fearing man. This is not how a God-fearing man, a man that has reverence for love, for God, love, handles young men. It's just not. But this is what happens. This is what happens when men go unchecked. When men have a bunch of fans and no one says, man, you're wrong, or you shouldn't do that. This is what happens. We got to start sharpening one another. We got to stop putting people on pedestals. You know, I got a lot of brothers and a lot of females who support me. I had a female make a comment on Facebook on a post of mine, and she said a few words and said one of the few men I respect. She was talking about me, and I'm thinking it kind of made me uneasy because I'm like, not that I'm not deserving of respect, but you don't even know me personally. That's the stuff that makes me uneasy. Like, you don't even know me personally, but I'm one of the few men you respect. You ain't seen, I tell you a few things dirty about me here and there, but you ain't seen me angry. You ain't seen me at my worst, but I'm one of the few men you respect. Something's wrong with that. I don't want that. I want respect, but I want know me. Like, know me to say you respect me, you love me, like, know me. I understand the love in general for mankind. I get that, and respect for mankind. But this was personalized. And so, what if she finds out something about me that takes me off that pedestal in her eyes? You still got respect for me? Can I be human? So we won't get down on Jay Prince too much. I would use him as an example because I've been seeing a lot of this on social media. But he's human too. And we got to treat him as human. He makes mistakes, so we won't go too hard on him. But he has to know, he has to be told, man, you are capable of making mistakes. You are capable of fumbling. You are capable of doing some messed up stuff like everyone else. Yeah, we gotta take men off this pedestal, man. We gotta salute men when they deserve it, love them, respect them, all men. But we can't be afraid to pull that coattail when God sends you, when love sends you that person's way. So it just goes to show you, man, no matter how old you are, how much money you got, how much fame you got, we all got room for growth. All of us. So let me know what you think, Toasters.